Welcome back, explorers. I'm Dante St. James. If you're new to this channel, I talk about entrepreneurship and social media, confidence, public speaking, and personal development as well, especially for those of us who are looking for our next chapter in life. Today, I'm jumping into the world of LinkedIn content strategy, specifically using the written word. If you've ever wondered how to make your LinkedIn post stand out, well, stick around because I've got a few gold nuggets to drop in here for you. Let's kick things off with a quick question though. Why is the written word so important on LinkedIn? Well, think of LinkedIn as the world's largest networking event. Every post you make is like a business card. People make assumptions about you though based upon what it is you share. So it's not just about conveying information, it's also about conveying a bit about who you are. And while video is powerful, it's kind of what you see is what you get, right? You don't get much interpretation there, but with the written word, you have the power to create stories in the minds of readers. Rather than them just passively accepting everything that's coming at them, you can build your own picture that best translates concepts and ideas to their way of understanding them. And that's powerful because if you get it in your own way, you're more likely to remember it and later on action it as well. And that leads us to why stories are incredibly powerful. They've been with us forever and they're not going anywhere anytime soon. Written content on LinkedIn is unique because it's non-linear, kind of like stories, right? Unlike video, which you have to watch from start to end in order, in chronological order, written posts allow you to skim through and get to that gist of it quickly. You can jump up and down through the article and see things earlier on. If you didn't get it, you can read it again. Video, you kind of go rewind. It gets messy, right? It's perfect for our short attention spans to be able to skim something through and go back to what really interested us. Now, one guy who really nails this is Gary Vee. He, for instance, uses storytelling in his posts to draw people in with very engaging storytelling about his life. And he draws from, his own life, but he also draws from experiences of those of his friends and clients and colleagues as well. So rather than just simply spewing out facts and figures, he's very much around storytelling to convey that deeper meaning that he knows is going to stick better in your mind. If it was just simply, this is what happened, this is how to do it kind of content, then you're never going to work it out for yourself and it won't stick in your mind as much. Now, writing can also be thought of as a bit of a muscle. Anyone can be a great writer with enough practice, like you can be a great weightlifter with enough weightlifting, right? You don't build muscle without working hard on it. And the same goes for writing, especially on LinkedIn. If you want to get better at it, you've got to write. Your style might be to reflect on your personal experiences. That might be the way you prefer to write. It could be about recalling challenges that you've overcome. Or maybe it's sometimes to celebrate the milestones. All these things are gold mines for content. Richard Branson does this, for example. He often shares stories about his entrepreneurial journey. It makes his posts very relatable because he started from very little and he's become so much. Where he really digs deep though is where he shares his backstory about dyslexia and how he not only learned to work with it, but also learned to use it as something of a superpower in his life, as a differentiator. Now, I've got one quick pro tip here for you. Nothing to do with Richard Branson. It's all to do with ChatGPT. I know ChatGPT, we're kind of going off on a tangent. Stick with me. Don't use ChatGPT to write the content for you. Use it rather to brainstorm content ideas, work those ideas and talk them through with ChatGPT. You can go into ChatGPT, or it could be Claude or Perplexity or Jasper or WriteSonic or whatever tool you want to use, and tell it what your audience is. Tell it what your role is. Tell it what your goals are, and then it helps generate topics that resonate with all of those things. It's like having a bit of a brainstorming buddy sitting across your desk from you that's always available. And someone who does leverage a lot of these very new AI tools is Tim Ferris, one of the biggest podcasters in the world. He uses AI tools to enhance the productivity, to automate processes, but also to help with creativity, with brainstorming those ideas, working out what to talk about, how to talk about it, and to pull up facts and figures, particularly from something like Perplexity, which doesn't just make stuff up like ChatGPT sometimes can. It actually researches real stuff from real articles and real scholarly sources. I do this as well. Often I'll research a topic using Perplexity. I pull that research out, throw it into ChatGPT, and then ask it to turn that research into an article outline. Not an article, but an outline that's delivered like a a hero's journey story, or it could be a problem agitate solution style story. Once I have the bare bones of it though, I'll pop it into something like Claude. Now Claude as an AI tool helps round out the sometimes robotic words that ChatGPT can spit out, and it turns them into a nicer way of describing things. It's a very hard thing for me to describe, but I would say to you that it's probably like the difference between somebody talking in a monotone voice and someone using a lot of color in their voice. It just feels more human. Then I just need to add all my human stuff, my personal stories, my personal observations, and throw in my specific way of talking about things. And I've got this fast-tracked way to content that's full of great info, yeah, but it's unmistakably me at the same time. And that's what's so important. Let's get into the nuts and bolts of crafting a great LinkedIn post. We always start with a hook. It's the most important part of the post. Spend 80% of your time just getting that first headline or that first sentence right. It's really important because if the hook isn't any good, no one's going to bother reading any further. The hook can be maybe a question or a quote or a controversial statement or some kind of cliffhanger. I like to go with statistics as well. I find that they're usually quite good for painting a picture and getting some expectation. You can follow that up with your story, but remember, focus on a beginning, a middle, and an end, and cut out the fluff. Try it just with the basics first. You can add fluff later if you feel like it really adds to the story, but it's so important to be very defined about how to get in, how to work through, and how to get out of your story. Ariana Huffington, great example of this. She structures a post in a very concise way, very engaging because they're always on point. They're always precise and to the point. Business guru Alex Hormozy, for instance, or Dan Coe is very good at this. Michaela Alexis, Molly Mahoney, they're very, very good at this. They're very good at getting in with a very defined statement at the beginning, working through the story, but then always knowing how to get out with some kind of call to action. Now we get onto the lesson of the story. Now, a story's great. We all love a story, but it's also LinkedIn we're talking about here. We are expecting to learn something here. A lesson is the core takeaway from your story. So make sure it aligns with both your goals and with your audience as well. They've got expectations and you really want to deliver on those. So here's the kicker. End with some kind of call to action as well. Invite your readers or your viewers to comment, to like, or to send you a message, but keep it simple and clear. Mel Robbins is a great example of someone who very effectively integrates lessons and calls to action in a post. I really like the way that some other people on LinkedIn might even include a call to action that says something like, want to see more of my stuff? Get my newsletter here. I think it's kind of clever. After all, it's not like you're asking for money here. I'm going to say this though once. It's okay to celebrate things on LinkedIn. I know the haters on YouTube and TikTok like to laugh at those who celebrate their wins on LinkedIn, but they're just doing this stuff for clicks, just like you and I are. They're no different. They just have nothing else to talk about that's happening in their lives, so they need to rip the joy out of everyone else's lives. So writing about the good stuff is fine. It's part of what happens in this game too. Now, I want to break down this whole example, right? Because some of this is very, very theory-led. I want to make a real example here. Imagine you're a marketing consultant. You just won an award. Congratulations. You might start with, I couldn't believe it, I actually won. Then share the journey of how you got to that win, how you felt like quitting, who the mentors were who helped you, the hard work that you did that paid off, and end with something like, if you've ever felt like giving up, hang in there, success might be just around the corner. Yeah, what's your biggest challenge right now? Let me know in the comments. So you're giving people an option to do something after you've told your story. That way you're not the hero of the story, even though you've had a little bit of a modest brag about, having won the award, but it's not actually about you at all. It's about them, about what they can do. What's the challenge facing them? So you give them a chance to turn the story around from not being about you, but being about them. And just a secret, people love it when you give them a chance to talk about themselves. So we've got stories all over the place. How do we get all these stories and have any chance of them being even vaguely interesting enough for someone to read? Well, you have to start by defining your goals and defining your audience. Know who you're talking to and what you want to achieve from that. Then you'll know what they like to hear about, and that's how you know how they like to hear about it. Then move on to documenting ideas regularly. Take tons of notes. Keep a journal or a notes file for daily experiences and insights. I use Notion. I use Dan Koh's Cortex, for instance. On my phone, I might just take notes in a notes app to jot down those ideas as they happen, or to take clippings from websites or recordings from YouTube. When I think of something awesome, I read something awesome, I want to be able to get that down. Once it's all in there, we want to use something like ChatGPT to brainstorm those ideas out a bit further, to generate relevant content ideas really easily. You could do some research on something like Perplexity, where I go to get accurate information. And if you don't like the way that Perplexity or ChatGPT writes, you can drag all those words into something like Claude, like I said before, for a much smoother style of storytelling. Now, the crafting of engaging stories is all about structure, right? Structure your posts with that hook, with that story, with that lesson, with that call to action. It's not rocket science, it's a template. Take that and use it. And ultimately, invite engagement. End your post with that simple, clear call to action. Even if it's just to hit the like button after all, that helps your work get seen by more people. And that's pretty much all there is. A strategy to make your LinkedIn written content shine, even if you're not a great writer or a master storyteller. Remember, LinkedIn's all about building connections with real people and showcasing who it is that you are. So put these tips into action and watch your connections come in, watch your following grow, and watch the engagement take off. And if you don't believe me, let's look at a few well-known personalities who do excel at this. Bill Gates frequently shares thoughtful pieces on global health and education and technology, always tying in his personal insights and the experiences he's had. His posts often start with a hook to get you interested. That draws you in, and that ends with some kind of call to act, usually encouraging you to learn more about the project he's involved in or to even get involved in that process. Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx, she is a masterclass in posts on all kinds of platforms. She shares her entrepreneurial journey, where she started, where she's got to now. Lots of honesty, lots of vulnerability, lots of humor, making her content very, very relatable, especially to the kind of target she's working with, which are usually mums, right? Well, her posts often highlight lessons that she's learned from not only her successes, but from her failures as well. And it usually ends with a very inspiring call to action that is motivating to her audience. And I'll give you one more example, Adam Grant. Adam is a renowned organizational psychologist who shares very deep insights through very engaging stories. His posts are very structured and very clear, with lessons thrown in that often include very thought-provoking questions that invite the audience to reflect a little bit and then bring back that reflection into comments, often on his YouTube videos. So these few examples show that no matter what your industry is or what your background is, using the power of storytelling with the written word on LinkedIn can significantly boost your engagement and influence. Now, if you found this video helpful, here comes my engagement, my call to action. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, ring the bell for more tips on digital skills and entrepreneurship. Leave me a comment below if you want to with your biggest LinkedIn challenge. I'd love to help you flesh it out a bit, even in the comments. Until next time though, explorers, keep writing, keep shining, keep growing, and I'll see you in the next one.